Hey everyone, happy Tuesday today. Going to be breaking down the WNBA slate. Today we have two games, the Liberty versus the Valks and the Fever versus the Mercury, and there's a few lines I'm excited to attack here, and I think given all the injuries, it's important to understand kind of what you're dealing with going into the slate. As a reminder, as always, if you like this content, please make sure to like, obviously, my X account or follow me on X, follow Parlay Olay Bets on X as well. If you really enjoy the content and want to get these picks given to you uh, at your own free will, Parlay Olay Bets. So check out wap.com/parlay-olay-bets. It is $25 a month, and if you use code WNBA, you will get 50% off your first month. That code is good through the rest of the day, so make sure to get that in. We have 5 cappers in the Discord, so myself doing WNBA, NFL, and Unrivaled. We got Dame doing WNBA and NFL. We got Logan doing MLB, and we have Will do in college football and college basketball and NFL money line bets. And then we have Will doing player props for college football and some college football spreads. And then we got Ryan doing soccer. So we have something for everyone. That being said, though, it's going to be a quick one. Let's jump into it. We got the Liberty versus the Valks. Sabrina Ionescu is questionable for this matchup, and it's a pretty important matchup because right now the Liberty sit at 5th, the Valks sit at 6th. And 3 games separate them, but really the Valks are trying to hold off, the Storm, the Fever, the Sparks. The Liberty are trying to climb into that first round guaranteed home court advantage piece. So, yes, man, Chris, it has been awesome in the Discord. We just won 16 units yesterday. If you looked at my prop threads, I called it out in there. I was on it. Natisha, even before Kayla was ruled out, Natisha was a guaranteed play for me. I loved Nas in that spot. I wish I could have got a threes line, but we did with it what we could. But yeah, it's been awesome in the Discord. It's only going up from here, so get in while you can. As far as the Liberty versus the Valks, though, a couple things I want to call out here. So the Valks continue to deal with injuries, but Monique Billings is returning. Nikase has done a very interesting job when she brings in people back into the rotation. It's generally at a very limited minute level. So I am not going to be betting on anything Monique Billings today. Props-wise, I'd be very concerned if we got anything, mostly because her minutes are going to fluctuate probably considerably, given the fact that look at what she did with Janelle Sullivan, right? Janelle is clearly an integral part of the rotation, and when she came back from Eurobasket, she got 5 minutes the first game. So just be wary of betting on Monique Billings. Tiffany Hayes and Cecilia are out, and why that is important is it really bodes well for Veronica Burton in terms of her usage. Her PAs skyrocket without them in the lineup, and she's had 13, 12, and 22 PAs this year versus the Liberty, and she's been averaging almost 22 PAs a game the last 5 games. Her line is set at 6.5. To be very honest, it just feels like a trap. So she has been converting at a very, very high rate, which is why you're seeing that 12, that 13 assist line. 6.5. It almost feels like, what am I missing here, right? And I've gotten burnt before on Burton because her variance is so drastic, right? She'll convert 60% of her PAs, and then she'll convert 5% of her PAs, right? And so it can be really drastic through there. The Liberty are going to be focusing very heavily on her, and they've done a much better job as of recent of limiting some of the assists. As far as the Valks go, though, I talk about this every single time, and there's going to be a system play here that I'll tell you about. But the Valks aggressively collapse on bigs, and they allow a ton of threes. But where they allow those threes is not the key playmaker. So it's not that point of attack ball handler. It is not Sabrina in this situation, right? It's generally that number 2 or that number 3 person. So it's very important to know the Sabrina news, because if Sabrina is playing, that means Natasha Cloud is likely that recipient of some of those good looks from 3. If Sabrina is not playing, it means Natasha is filling in for that Sabrina role, and we're likely seeing Leonie have some of those open 3 looks. So I'm waiting on that information, and I'll have a play in the Discord after that. But a couple other things to know here as well. Stewie has had a lot of success in this matchup. Really, she's a matchup nightmare for anyone, but specifically this team, because she can shoot the 3, so she can get a few open looks, she can drive to the basket, and she can shoot the midi. And that allows her to really put some pressure on this Valkyries defense. Whereas a lot of people are, we saw with the Fever, honestly. The Fever don't have that mid-range maestro that is a bigger, kind of a bigger wing or a smaller forward, right? Aaliyah Boston's going to post up. Kelsey Mitchell is going to drive and be that that three-point shooter. They don't really have anyone else that's kind of differing from that. Stewie is very different in that regard. She's going to get a matchup on a big that is a little bit slower than her. Janelle has a decent matchup here as well. The Liberty ranked bottom 4 against spot-up shooters. That's where a lot of Janelle's production comes from. But she hasn't really gotten a ton of shot volume as of late. She hasn't gone over 11 shots since August 1st. That's always a bit concerning here as well. And the last thing I want to call out is that if all the Liberty are in, Sabrina, Jonquel, Natasha, Stewie, Cloud has had really good PA days in this situation. But we just saw her without Sabrina only put up 9. So I'm a little bit concerned there about taking that, but it's definitely worth exploring depending on the odds there. So should be a good game though. I'm really excited to watch this one specifically. Have a couple bets on it, and we'll have a couple depending on what Sabrina ends up doing. Jumping over to the Fever and the Mercury game, there's really just 2 big plays I want to call out here. The Fever have been pretty leaky as of late, struggling a little bit and allowing the second most points in the paint over the last 10 games. And they're allowing opponents to shoot over 40% from deep over the last 10 games. But specifically what I want to call out is how Alyssa Thomas has played against the Fever. She has scored like 32 and 18 points in 2 games this year against the Fever. And rebounding the ball wise, she's had 15 and 11 boards. And the reason why she's had these boards is that typically what the Mercury have done against the Fever is they sit in that zone. Alyssa Thomas is playing that person in the restricted zone, kind of managing the paint, which allows her a lot of open looks. They're basically saying, we don't really care about Natasha. We don't really care about Aaliyah Boston shooting the basketball. We're going to leave AT down there, and that has allowed her to get a lot of rebounds in this matchup. But on the flip side, the Mercury are really bad at rebounding in general, especially on the defensive side of the glass. They're the fourth worst rebounding team in the league, and they've allowed the most rebounds to opposing forwards. Aaliyah Boston, I believe, has had 9 rebounds or more in both games. But what I really like about this matchup is Aaliyah Boston's points. Aaliyah Boston is coming off a very tough game, and I don't know why I didn't take her under. I knew she was going to have a bad shooting game against the Valks. And when you look at it on tape, I actually took her assist. She had 10 PAs in that game. She didn't convert 4 assists, which is all we needed to at least break even. But the Valks were collapsing on her, and instead of not forcing it, kicking out to the open shooter, she was forcing it inside, trying to get a basket, couldn't make it happen. She really struggled shooting the ball. This is a much better matchup for her. 36% of her production comes from the post-up and as the roll woman, which is where the Mercury struggle the absolute most. They like to try to set some traps with that big, or they kind of let the big go as they try to fight over the screen and have the big drop on the shooter. So that's going to be some opportunities there for Aaliyah Boston. Again, in that post-up as well, I like what she can do there. She had 22 points in her first matchup of the year against them. And the last thing I'm kind of looking at here is Odyssey Sims. So the first game had Ari McDonald. Ari McDonald had 19 PAs. In the second game, Ari McDonald was out. There was no true point guard on this roster, and they really put a lot of pressure on Kelsey Mitchell. I mean, when you put that trap on her, she's been just phenomenal. I would say she should be in the MVP conversation, to be honest. Not winning it, but at least in that conversation. But when you put her in that trap, she kind of dribbles around a lot and doesn't like to actually get the ball out of her hands. Whereas you see a true point guard like an Ari McDonald or even an Odyssey Sims, they get in that trap, they can find the open shooter here. And I think what we're going to see here is with Odyssey Sims in the lineup, it allows Kelsey Mitchell to come up the ball a bit more. They're not going to trap Odyssey a ton. They're really going to focus heavily on Kelsey Mitchell. That gives Odyssey a bit more free reign to distribute the basketball accordingly. And her line, I'm assuming, is going to be low, although we haven't really gotten anything yet on any of the books. So this could be an interesting game. I'm hoping the Fever show up in this one, right? If they show up, this should be at least a 180-point game, right? These two offenses move at an incredibly quick pace. The Mercury's D has tightened up as of late, but when the Fever offense is on, especially if Aaliyah Boston is cooking, that opens up so much for this offense because now they have to send help down in the paint to help out in Aaliyah Boston. It allows open shooters to have some good looks. It allows Kelsey Mitchell to also have a bit more room to wiggle as well. So that's what I'm going to be looking for. Like I said, I like a few things in this game. If Sabrina's out, I like Leonie. If Sabrina's in, I like Natasha. I love AB points. I'm looking at Sims assists, and I also love AT points as well. So that's all I got for you today. If you love this, again, make sure to like it. Make sure to retweet it if you'd like, or do whatever you may. Just give us a support by sharing with anyone who would like to see this. We're going to be putting out a schedule as well. Where we're breaking down both the WNFL, college sports, all that stuff every single day of the week going forward. So I'll be putting out that schedule, and we'll have an NFL breakdown either tomorrow or the day after with Dave. So be on the lookout for that. Appreciate you all tuning in. Have a fantastic Tuesday, and I will talk to you all later. Good day, y'all.